Hello, my beautiful gemstones. Welcome to Tuesday's afternoon talk with myself, Ghostdragonzw, and the Wendigo guy, Sir Ryan Paul Tremblay. Sorry you had to miss. I hope you can come back later, but thank you for stopping in, hitting the like, and just letting us know anyway. I love when you guys do that. That's really awesome. Miss KC, welcome. Said hi, Ghost and Aunt Edna. I'll be listening, as I know you always are. Casey, I hope you're doing well. Lots of prayers and love for your family. And just know we're always thinking about you. And as you know, if you need anything, you can reach out. And I'm here, and so many of us are here. Nutslap, yes, I was late. I actually didn't wear the wig today because I wasn't feeling like doing anything today. So I was like, I'm not even going to put makeup on. I'm going to lounge all day. And then I was like, oh, I have a stream at 1 o'clock. So what you see is what you get. What's up, Mom? We're starting now. As you can see, I was yip-yapping in the background about how to boost donations for the channel, actually. But that's a conversation for another time. Anybody listening, anybody in here, anybody not in here but listening, welcome to the channel, welcome to the stream. Ghostdragonzw had his eye doctor this morning. I told him he can go no picture, just audio. I told him he could wear sunglasses. It wouldn't be weird. But y'all know him, he's stubborn. So if you see him sitting there like this, that's why. It's creepy in that it's very creepy, but now you know why he's being a creep, at least, or looking like a creep. But yeah, just because I won't be here tomorrow for any reason, I want to wish my son Damien a happy 20th birthday. His birthday is tomorrow, not today, but I don't go live on Wednesdays, so just wanted to know I'm thinking of him, and very, very proud of the young man he's become. I remembered, I'm sure my mom does, when I went into labor with him, and it's one of those things as a parent, I guess, when your child grows older, but like especially when they become like an adult, you know, it's been crazy. Especially, you know, Damien's been my baby, and now he's 20. Speaking of Damien, I was like, oh, Smoochie's not here. I can talk about Damien without it getting weird. Hey, Smoochie. Hey, Batmom. Hey, Jason. So I think Ryan has a story to talk about with us today. Not 100% sure, but we'll find our way as we always do. That's why I kind of wanted to cover everything in the beginning. I don't think there's anything else, though, guys. We're going to be talking about insectoid humanoids on Monday, encounters with insectoid humanoids, and I'm working diligently on Gone 4. If you guys haven't purchased my books yet, you can find them on Amazon. Search Gemma Jade Books on Amazon. That's literally the easiest way to find my whole collection. If you want an autographed copy, email me before you make the purchase, because I'll get the book and I'll sign it and I'll send it out to you. I'd like to see more autographed copies coming in. I was getting so many, and now suddenly I don't really get many. Casey, you always get a copy. Of course, my mom. Just some things to think about, guys. Halloween helper boxes. I got all the supplies, everything ready to go. So if you're thinking about like prices and stuff like that, that's usually something I'll discuss with y'all privately. And don't forget about personal readings. With all those personal messages being put out there, let's get started, because I'm ending at 2 sharp so I could play Fortnite. Okay, let's bring them in. Oh, nice, Jason. All right. Well, thank you for sharing your break with us.
Hello.
Hey, guys.
You're supposed to go, hello.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Right,
we're supposed to do the Three Stooges sing the hello,
Yeah.
hello, hello.
We're going to have to remember that for next week, because I think that would be pretty awesome. Ghost, well, as you were like bugging out with your eyes, just so you know, if I didn't catch it, you would have been caught unawares, because you did that thing where you hit and put yourself on the screen when I had cleared everyone off the screen.
Yep,
At the very last second, I noticed it. There she is. Hello, Ryan.
Hi, Mom. I saw you too, Ghost Girl.
I'm so jealous. I am so jealous, Mom.
You should be, man.
I'm not selling any more biscotti to you anymore.
No, she did say, I love Steven so much, and I love Steven too, but I got to see my man Ryan.
I love you too, Mom.
My mom has found her match in Ryan, because the things you talk about specifically, and I've explained this many times, it's just something that my mom's always felt a connection to the native culture with the ancestry she has. So to find people or a person who's actually out there these people. I mean, that would be something my mom would love to do that she never would do, so she could live vicariously through you. So
Nice.
that's one of the main reasons. So I'm gonna try to be quiet today. And Ryan, did you have a story you wanted to talk with us?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
brought it. All right.
Yep.
So I'm gonna give Ryan the floor. Steven, if you have anything that you want to add, and I'm just gonna listen to this story.
Okay. You guys, you're gonna love this, man. I'm still terrified about this, but you guys are gonna love it. So there's a family that lives there. Yeah, it's a family that's a good distance away from me, but they got a hold of me and they said they were having some paranormal activity around their ranch. They're ranchers, so they got like sheep, goats, cows, things like that. And I asked, well, what kind of paranormal activity are you having? So at first, it started where he was hearing a disembodied voice. Okay, he was hearing some kind of foreign language. He didn't understand what was being said, but he could hear things being yelled at night. Okay, and so he started seeing eyes. See, he's going outside trying to look to see where this voice was coming from. He would see glowing eyes in the distance. So I'm sitting there going, okay, so this sounds like ghost activity. So I talked to his wife, though. She said she saw a Native American man on their property. It's private property, so no one's supposed to be there. And he was, a good distance away from their chicken coop. And she told him, you're not supposed to be here. This is private property. And he just stopped in place and he just stared at her for like 2 minutes. And she said the way that he was staring at her, though, was like he hated her. Like her very existence was something that he was loathing. And he said something in a Native American language and he just walked away. He went up the mountain and disappeared. But she said that he was wearing like Navajo garbs, traditional Navajo garbs. So to me, I was like, wait a minute, this is Navajo and you're getting paranormal stuff. Is there anything else that seems really weird? So she started asking her kids, did you guys see anything? And one of her oldest kids, who's about 14 or 15, he was talking about a coyote that he saw, but the coyote had human hands. At the end of its paws in the front were human hands. So I'm going, that's not just paranormal. That's something I don't think I should name. But if it's Navajo and you're seeing a coyote that has human-like hands, there's something going on for that. There's something not quite right. So I'm thinking this family is dealing with a skinwalker right now. And they're seeing weird stuff. Like they saw. This is in Arizona. This is just like maybe like 40 miles from where I'm at. So, but Steven, you're going to be really interested in this. One of the kids saw something that looked like a rake, but it had a long black hair. So it wasn't bald like what you had seen, but it looked like a rake, but it had long black hair. And they said the hair went down past his chest. Yeah,
I just haven't talked about them yet. Those were coming up.
Yeah, so they're seeing something that you have seen, Steven. I thought that would interest you.
It's
what
weird
do you think those things are?
I still have to agree with you and think there's some type of air crawler. I don't call them rakes anymore, but there are ones that are very different that I have seen over the years. Now, the one I saw with the hair, it wasn't like a full head of hair. It was just kind of, it looked like somebody going through chemo or something. It was real scraggly, real long, and black as night.
All right,
it was like missing chunks.
They said this hair was like, it was perfect. There wasn't any hair missing, and it seemed kind of oily or greasy. It had something in there. Yeah, and it was really long and went down past its rib cage, but the hair was just like super, super, super long. But it had those black eyes that everybody describes.
Yeah, that everyone I've ever seen has these really nasty, deep, dark, set black eyes.
I have a couple questions. I'm taking notes here. The first thing is, so rakes versus pale crawlers. I know we've talked about this before. Do we think there's a difference?
There is a difference. Rakes are more of the creepypasta kind of thing, where rakes, and that's what they are. But the pale crawlers, they're kind of, they look like skinwalkers to some.
Well, I know what the pale crawlers are, not because I think I've ever seen any, but I've covered them. If you look through my video list, I covered them multiple times because they're another of those. I know they're evil entities that fascinate me, that I'm like, I need to see one of these. I want to see it for myself. So I was just curious, but I think in that zone of it, it could be, or in that vein, where people are seeing pale crawlers, but to make them for some reason more scary, maybe adding the claws or whatever. Now with the hair, that sounds, not to stereotype, but that sounds like possibly like Native American, like the long black flowing hair. And ghost, maybe the one you saw had just been through it. Maybe there was something with a transformation where like the one that Ryan's talking about had just transformed maybe, and the one you saw had been like running through the woods for years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. The thing is, mine, I don't think any of mine that I've seen would be skinwalkers. They just don't come off. And in Ohio,
valid point.
From what I've learned from Ryan and my own research, that's more somewhere else. That's not here. That's like Arizona, New Mexico.
Pale crawlers? So they would be the
skinwalkers.
Yeah,
they are skinwalkers.
So because like with the skinwalkers
or something totally different. All the pale crawlers that I've ever seen is usually around water, like caves, and they're usually around cave systems, wells, sewage. We saw. You see them in videos where they think those are skin crawlers or something, but those are pale crawlers, and they're living in the sewers now.
Yep.
And
I always thought they were underground.
Yeah, anything underground.
They're subterranean.
I've also seen them around ponds and lakes. So.
Okay. So what do you, the story that you just told, that is incredibly creepy. What's your consensus?
Oh, it gets better though. There's more creepy stuff that happened. I mean, I feel bad for these guys and I'm terrified to go up there. So when they saw this rake like thing, the thing with the long black hair, the dad went out and he did see something scampering up the cliffside. So he shot at it, right? He missed, he didn't hit it. But later that night, he heard something moving around on the rooftop. And he said it sounded like it was going up on the roof first, but then it's crawling down the side of the house. And it was banging on the house. And he said he heard a voice telling him, get out, get out, get out. So whatever it was telling him to leave. It was telling him to go, but he didn't go. He stayed there and he was telling people, it's my ranch. I'm not going to leave. This is my property. So he went out and he was trying to be this big, tough guy. He had his rifle and everything. And he decided to talk to this presence that's on his property. And he told him, look, I bought this property. It's rightfully mine. And nothing you do is going to make me leave. Now, that sounds like a pretty bold thing to do. Sounds brave. He came to regret it, though.
Very daring. Yeah.
Yeah. Later that night, he heard his sheep going absolutely crazy. They were spazzing out. They were bumping into one another, bumping into the walls of their cage. He went out there and at least 6 of them had their throats slit. So he lost 6 sheep. Yeah, so something killed his sheep. And I was like, well, was it possible it was a predator of some sort? And he told me, no, Ryan, I've been a rancher for about 50 years. I know what coyote kills look like. I know what mountain lion kills look like.
Yeah, he's definitely educated. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, this was neither. This was neither. He said this was something that a human came in and used a dagger or a knife, and it slit the throats of my sheep. He heard it audibly. He actually could hear it aloud. His wife heard it too. Yeah, that was his wife heard it too. So both he and his wife heard whatever this thing was telling him, get out, get out. So it doesn't want him there. So I asked him, was this ever, part of the Navajo property, part of the res? He said that long time ago when his grandfather owned the ranch, he did have problems with the Native Americans because they were saying, you don't belong here. You're a white man. You shouldn't be here. And the family still settled. So I told him, maybe your grandfather kicked off one of these skinwalkers and the skinwalker's coming after you now. Yeah.
A lot of the time, even in mediumship, you go into a place and the people, first of all, everyone assumes what they have is a demon, right? So everyone assumes in at least my line of work, it's a demon. And that's very clear if you watch like the Dead Files. I think Amy even said it. And I was like, you know what? She's right. It's always a demon, right? But it almost never is. But the one thing people don't ever seem to consider is it is more than likely the land. I noticed when I would see things like this tree being thing, I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know.
So like a dryad? Are you talking about a dryad?
I don't know. I never figured out what it was. It was a big tree being. I can't even, it had like the branches.
That sounds like a dryad.
But and you know what's funny? I did a personal reading for someone today and they pulled the dryad card and it didn't even, because it was so long ago. And I remember people telling me it could have been Skinwalker. And I'm like, but it couldn't have been because I was in New Jersey, right? I don't travel. And
Right.
I learned that from you, that I'm probably never going to see one if I stay in New Jersey, which I do plan on
you're
eventually
safe.
traveling. But yeah, I remember this tree being thing, and it was outside, and the only information I got from this thing was we were here first. Now, it referred to itself as we. And it didn't, is Dryad like I have a really scary story for the end too, but is Dryad like a fae creature?
I would think it would be kind of in that category.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
a tree
even
fae.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a tree fae. That's what it is a tree fae. They usually look like
Yeah.
trees or whatever. Or an
They're real big in Asia and over in
when
Europe
I come
too.
across elementals, when I come across fae infestations, I had never seen anything like that. And a lot of my research into fairies and all that, I was known for a while as the fairy girl, but it wasn't really an accurate description of me because I did the research on how the fae could be involved in the missing. It wasn't like I had always had this obsession with the fae where I would, you know, like a lot of people who do write books about them have a connection. I've had them attached to me. I've come across them, but it wasn't like this thing where I was all knowing about fairies when I started that book, and Dryad just happened to never be something I came across. And I can't believe it. 2 hours ago, I did a reading out of 76 cards in that deck, 77. I pulled the Dryad, and you just said that. So I'm definitely going to look into them. I mean, I don't still speak to the person that this was going on with. It was a client, but yeah, I'm going to just read up on them because it'd be so interesting to see like once and for all, because this was so many years ago and I just never got down to what it was. And normally I can see like, oh, okay, that's what this is. That's what this is. Or I'll do the research. I don't know. I guess I just never thought to look it up.
Well, it doesn't when it's happening and you don't really, it doesn't dawn on you until later. A lot of times a year later, all of a sudden you go,
I feel like I forgot about it, which is crazy because you think I saw a giant evil seeming.
Maybe it made you kind of forget about it.
That's what I was just thinking. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yes.
Because even upon looking at that card, it did not occur. So
it did now.
Yeah, and now it did. And I'm like, I got to look into that. that. There are several trees outside my property, right where my property line is. So beyond the brook there in my yard, where you can see that there's a tree ripped up by its roots, but not like professional. Like I swear these trees, and laugh at me if you want, guys. I really don't care at this point. I swear I feel like some of them are getting up and moving because they're it's just, I just get that.
We all know the story of the trees in The Lord of the Rings. Okay.
I was going to say that too. Damn it, go beat me to it.
Yeah. There are stories and there are videos. Some of them you can tell are fake, but I saw 2 videos and I'm going to dig them out of these trees and you actually see them moving. And it's like, this guy is totally freaking out. And it literally I go, that's CGI. That's CGI.
So I went back and on SOR.
This guy is freaking out. I mean, he is literally freaking out.
Yep.
I don't know, man. I'd freak out if I saw a tree walking around too. I'd be like, wow. Even the tree got tired of my crap and said, I'm out of here, and just walked away.
I'd be waiting for Rush's trees to play.
Either myself or Big Willie, when I was on SOR a couple years ago, we covered this. And you can probably, if they still have my episodes on the channel, you can find the episode. And I was talking then about the spiders, the gigantic house-sized spiders, where I would see all these AI really good quality, but definitely fake videos, except for one. There was one I saw that there was no way at all. It was fake. And I never was able to find that particular video again. So my mom says, the woods where I am now, very interesting. I told you what I saw. Yeah, I didn't want to speak about it publicly because I didn't know like who was listening and you had asked me not to, but I will definitely tell Ryan and Ghost.
You told me
I think I already told Steven, but about something very similar to what you just said, my mom had experienced. So what else? Tell me what else, because I've got a whopper of a story that has nothing to do with this, but
this gets really interesting. So he does this thing where he'll water his fields and everything. It creates a lot of mud, right? And he said that he saw this same Indian person, this Native American person, walking on his property again. So he ran out to go confront this person, tell him to leave. But the guy ran before he'd even open the door. The person was gone, just took off. And he ran out there still to see if he could catch him. But he looked down when he hit his field. Something told him to look down. And what he saw bare footprints, like they were human footprints at first, right? But as they proceeded, he said they turned into coyote prints.
Oh.
And he's like, this guy was totally gone, Ryan. He's like, I looked for him. I couldn't find him. He must be the Flash because he ran like boom and he was gone. But he's like, there was coyote prints. And he showed me pictures of these, by the way. So I have seen the pictures where you see it
as it ran.
You see the progression because it's big human footprints, but then they start shrinking down and all of a sudden they're coyote prints. And I'm going, I know what this is. I know exactly what this is. And I'm going to have to get some help to help you out. So I got people I reached out to, showed them his story, showed them the pictures, and they're like, yep.
So
we know exactly what this is. Yep. Yinaradushi. Yep.
We need to have Nighthawk on here.
Yes.
So what
yes.
my mom, you guys can have whoever you want to have on. I mean, Ghost, you know that. Ryan, I don't know if you do.
No.
If you have a guest you want to bring on, bring them on.
You would love him.
You will
yeah,
Mom would love him.
Yes. William's amazing.
Just set it up. Just set it up and let me know. Like, you can even let me know, like, right before we come on, like, I have a guest, or let me know and I'll do the thumbnail promoting the guest. So if you ever want to have anybody on. So my mom.
I'm going to plug William, though. Cheap plug, because William, he's a Lakota shaman and elder. And this guy, he knows so much stuff. I could listen to him talk for days and not get bored.
My mom probably could too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I could too. It is very, very interesting. So my mom said, I can tell you guys, it wasn't scary, but it's funny she mentioned it because, or actually I'm not surprised, because as soon as you started talking, I immediately was going to start talking about what my mom had told me. And I remembered she had said, don't really bring it up.
Okay.
So, Mom, I may get a couple of the details wrong, so stand by. So she was sitting outside, and this is the middle of the woods, kind of like how I've described to you where I live. There's a couple acres, but then there's just woods. And she was sitting out looking, and it happened a couple days where she would see, I think I'm explaining this right, a circle of what looked like Native Americans. They were wearing, I believe she said they were shirtless. They looked kind of warrior.
Okay.
And she said, like, Mom, just correct me because I don't remember the exact details. I believe she said, like, but they were there and then gone. Like,
ooh.
And she didn't get like a scary feeling off of them, but it was more of like, she wanted to go investigate, like she wanted to go see what it was about. But then we get nervous of like, are you being lured into the woods to go and see what this is about? And really it is something threatening. Right. So I don't want her going and investigating this on her own. They were standing in a circle. Not. I believe she said there were 3 of them. And it happened a couple days in a row, and they were like making eye contact, but it wasn't in like any kind of negative, evil way. She doesn't think so, but I do think so, that it was possibly some sort of intimidation. And I believe once I get up there and look into the history of it, once I walk through the woods surrounding the house, I mean, I'll know immediately what's there, why it's there, but I know it can't be Skinwalker. But I'm wondering if I'm going to come across something similar. I've been getting, and I wanted to actually ask you about this.
Maybe.
I've been getting a lot of encounter stories about people in my area, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. You know, upstate New York is very wooded and mountainous, where they're seeing creatures that resemble like pale crawler, but a little bit different. Not crawling, but being able to run on all 4s at the speed of a coyote, keeping up with their trucks as they try to outrun them, screeching and howling, sounding like a human woman being attacked, leaving behind prints of like a human foot, but like with long taloned feet. And if it were 1 or 2 encounters, I'd be like, not possible. Skinwalkers don't exist here. So it's not that I think it's Skinwalker. I'm wondering if something that was already always here, or maybe something you're aware of, is perhaps evolving somehow. You know what I'll do? I'll send you some of the encounters so you can read the specific details of what these people are saying to me. And maybe
that'd be great. Yeah, that'd
figure it out. I'll send it because I've got about 15 of them. And like I said, if it was 1 or 2, coming from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and I believe there were like 3 of them were from like Maine. Which I don't even know if Maine would be somewhere a Skinwalker could be, but they all described independent of one another. None of them know that the other one sent me the stories. They don't know each other, of these creatures that are running as fast as coyotes on all 4s, but also able to stand straight up. They're lurking behind trees. People are hearing when they're outrun or outpaced by the human that they're coming after, you hear screams as though a woman's being attacked. You know the sounds of a woman screeching. A couple of the stories also, they also involved these things kind of, they would see the thing, very pale, black eyes, no hair, looking very ghoulish, terrifying. Try to pretend like, you know how when you see something and you're like, okay, I didn't just see that. You know what I mean? And you just kind of try to move on.
That sounds like some of this bear crawlers and stuff that I've seen.
So they would look and then they try to ignore it, and then they'd hear a little kid being like, help me, I'm lost, help me, coming from the same area where they saw this thing.
So this is interesting about the pale crawlers. The Native Americans actually did talk about them. People say no, they didn't. It's because they're looking up the wrong name, okay? So the tribes used to call them the Gugout, which means the people before the people, okay? Now, places like Jersey, you had tribes there too, okay? According to the tribe's story of these pale crawlers, they were once like a human civilization that got tired of other humans. So what they did is they regressed and they hid underground. And this is why they kind of de-evolved in a way where they get the white skin, the black eyes, because they became subterranean. So they had to adapt to their environment. So places like Maine, New Jersey, New York, there's places you can hide underground. And that was all tribal land at one point in time. So I think they are seeing the tribal version of these pale crawlers because, you know, they knew how to speak a language at one time. They had their own custom. Yeah, they had customs, they had traditions, but they just kind of let them slip to the wayside for the more feral kind of way of life where they didn't want, you know, association with human beings at all. So when they see humans, they don't like other human beings. They get very angry and they chase them down.
That's the reason they went into like
stories of pale crawlers doing the same thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that could be what they're seeing.
See, that's the thing too.
I'm gonna look that up.
Here, I finally found a friend of mine. Apparently, he's got Crow ancestry in his thing, and he said his family used to pass around stories of these pale creatures that lived in the caves and in the old Indian caves. And then it was funny because I laughed at him when he first said it. He goes, sometimes I think they dug too deep. And every time I hear that, I immediately think of the Lord of the Rings where the trolls dig too deep and they, you know, come across the fire monster. But that's exactly what he said. Because my grandpa used to say they always dug too deep and it always caused them grief.
Mom, we should go to that museum for sure.
So at some point though, did your mom ever lose her connection to her indigenous roots? Did she ever kind of give up on it at some point?
Yeah, I mean, my mom never really went searching for anything. It's just she's always been attracted to the culture. So anything involving it, documentaries on TV, paranormal stories about it. She always felt down to she used to be a Redskins fan when they were the Redskins, not really because she liked football at first, but because she's always been very, very drawn to the culture. You know, she has statues all over her house but we don't even know like the actual connection of like where the ancestry is, right? We know it's like pretty recent. It's fairly recent. I don't know if my grandparents, but it could be my great grandparents. We're not 100% sure, but
Right.
It's always like with me with Ireland, there's always been this just magnetic attraction to anything Celtic related, Ireland related, still to this day, and it's with my mom. So anything, I'm wondering too, and I said to her, it could possibly be your ancestors maybe warning you of something, putting this safe protective bubble around you. She said, I felt safe. I didn't feel, she just said it. Maybe they were trying to let you know that they're going to protect you from whatever is in those woods, because why would they suddenly appear now? That my mom's lived in the woods before. My mom's lived plenty of places where they could have appeared. She's also a seer and an oracle and a healer, but she just doesn't work with the ability. So I feel like she would have come across them at some point in her life, except she came across them just a couple weeks ago.
Well, it could also be like, ancestors telling her to dig deeper into her own ancestry, like to look into your history, to learn of your people. Because if you got that blood in your bloodline, you should know your indigenous roots. You should know your traditions, your culture, your peoples. Maybe this was her people saying, hey, look into us, learn where you came from. It's possible.
I agree.
Man. I mean,
I definitely agree. I've always thought she should. I always thought she should. She said, my mom told me when I was in my 40s that my grandfather's father was a chief on a reservation, but she would never tell me much. The information I gathered in the little bit of research I did, it was like, I don't know if it was like the Carolinas or I have it written down. I have a notebook because when I was in like my 30s, I was just looked into this stuff for her and I never really approached her with it. She would always get the pushback of, oh, well, you can't claim unless we weren't trying to claim money. Like we just were interested in where we came from. And I think that's
something to be proud of. It's something to be very proud of, So.
Yeah, where she was afraid to delve any deeper. Her spirit guide is a chief. She was told that by someone we trust very much, a medium, but I've also seen it. So yeah, Blue, this was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I would look into it more, Mom. There might be something that, they want you to learn your ancestry. They want you to learn where you came from and who you really are. I would do it.
And that's something I can help you with, Mom, too. Like when I come visit, I can teach you how to, use Google and use the computer a little bit better. Hey, Jim, thanks for coming in. Life with Bobby, Andrew. Oh, my Nomeo. Guys, anybody that I missed, it wasn't on purpose. I have this really terrifying story of insectoid humanoids, but I want to make sure that you are completely done because I'm going to put it in Monday's video anyway. So if we don't get to it, I just thought the people in this stream would really get a kick out of this one. It's scary.
Ooh, insectoids. Those creep me out.
Oh my God,
creeped
me
out
too.
by those, man. I
actually wrote that.
I picture a giant praying mantis and I'm like,
in the beginning of the script, I wrote that like not much terrifies me, right? I've seen it all. I've experienced it all for the most part. They creep me out. And there's a lot of them known to be in New Jersey and like the Pine Barrens. People are seeing a lot of mantis being.
Not so me. No, thank you.
I'm going to breeze through this real quick. Mom, I think you'll like this one too, actually. Just let me get to it. This ended up being a long script and you guys will hear it again at the end of Monday's video. But I even wrote, I just read the end of it. I literally have no words. Is what I wrote at the end of this video. So, okay, let me just get to the beginning. I wrote, this one comes from a site I use quite often for my research, but it only says that it came from Rosalis's files. I don't know who Rosalis is, but apparently it's someone who tracks extraterrestrial and or UFO encounters and phenomena. The encounter happened in 1977 near Albi Tarn in France. The witness or victim was a young student who is only called Emma. Emma was staying in a French townhouse out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of an isolated hamlet about 15 miles outside of the town of Albi. She was outside one day sketching the farmhouse when she heard a noise that sounded like wind chimes. The dog must have heard it as well because, according to the report, the dog was spooked by the noise and seemingly heard it at the same time Emma did. The dog was so frightened, it uncharacteristically ran off to hide. Emma suddenly started to feel unsettled herself and went back inside of the farmhouse. And when she did, the chiming noises got much louder and much more persistent. She said they also became more random, quote, like someone playing random notes on a xylophone, end quote. The sound stopped just as suddenly as it had started and left her in complete and total eerie silence. She was creeped out, and as she stood there thinking what she should do next, she somehow just knew that there was about to be a knock at the door. Movement out of the corner of her eye suddenly caught her attention, and she turned just in time to see a small greenish figure rushing past the window of the farmhouse near where she had been standing. She ran to the door and slid the bolt on as quickly as she possibly could, though she didn't know why she had done that or what it was she was to be so fearful of. Then, almost immediately after sliding the bolt, there came the sound of tapping on the door, which she described as being like someone knocking with a cane. The report described the ordeal as follows. Guys, just stay with me, okay? Quote, "Who is it?" Emma asked, and she could feel her heart pounding in her bosom. There was no reply. She looked at the yellow telephone and the piece of paper lying next to it on the table in the corner. The number of the neighbor was on that scrap of paper. There was a raspy sound on the other side of the door. Years later, when Emma would go on a vacation to the United States, a hissing diamondback rattlesnake would bring the memory of the rasping sound back. "I said, who is that?" Emma yelled again, and she felt her throat dry up with fear. Again, there was no reply, just a continuation of the hissing sound and a rapping of something on the door. Emma crept to the window and looked through the net curtains. What she saw would haunt her and me for the rest of her life. Emma can only describe the thing standing outside the front door as something which looked like a gigantic cricket or maybe a grasshopper, standing about 5'7" tall, which is how tall I am, on two legs. It had two pairs of thin, light green arms hanging by its side, and what looked like a long, dark green penis, about 12 inches in length, protruding from its lower abdomen. This phallus began to shake. I was shocked. This phallus began to shake and vibrate, generating the hissing sound the teenager had just heard. The head of this terrifying creature looked just like the head of an overgrown grasshopper, with huge, black, shiny domed compound eyes, quivering antenna, but no wings. It had a small O-shaped mouth which seemed to have a bubble blowing from it, and its head twisted to face Emma as she appeared at the window. The exchange student screamed and ran up the stairs, and when she was halfway up, she saw a double-barrel shotgun leaning against the wall in a corner. So she quickly descended the stairs and grabbed it. Guys, it gets terrifying, trust me. Her trembling hands tried to break the heavy shotgun open, but she couldn't do it. She heard the thing rapping at the door with its insect-like limbs, and she tried again to open the shotgun as she looked around for ammunition. Emma located the opening lever, and she found that it slid sideways in a swinging movement to open the shotgun. She instinctively opened a drawer in the phone table, and there was a cardboard box which rattled with a metallic sound when she touched it. So instinctively, she knew that this is where the bullets are, which means her guides were probably helping her through this. She's lifted the lid off the box and saw about a dozen brass cartridges. She put two of them into the chamber and snapped the shotgun shut. She aimed at the center of the door and shouted, "Get out of here." She fired, and a hole about 6 inches in diameter appeared in the middle of the wooden door. The recoil slammed the stock of the shotgun hard into the girl's shoulder. A ringing sound echoed in her ears. The firing of the shell had almost deafened her. The face of the creature was now turned slightly so that one of its black-domed eyes was looking through the hole in the door, and that hissing sound was getting louder from the stridulation, the vibrating of the entity's penis against its plated abdomen. Emma felt dizzy with fear, and as she slid the lever on the shotgun sideways to open it, she felt as if she were dreaming, because her mind simply could not take in the nightmarish reality of what was happening. The girl pulled out the spent shells and put two more in. She aimed the shotgun at the hole, hoping to blow the creature to kingdom come, but it made a tweeting sound and flitted away from the hole just as Emma was about to squeeze the trigger. The girl lowered the barrels, and she grabbed two more shells from the cardboard box in the open drawer. Then she went upstairs to her room. She went to the window and looked out. There was no sign of that creature below, but then something did catch Emma's eyes. It looked like two twigs sticking out from the trunk of an ancient, gnarled tree opposite. With a cold shudder in her bowels, she realized it was the antenna of the abominable and repulsive insectoid. It was hiding behind the old oak. At this point, the teenager heard the telephone ringing downstairs. Now, this is where I started getting really scared. Where was I? Ringing downstairs. Boop, boop, boop. Sorry, guys.
You mean you're not scared by the size of that thing's penis?
I was until I kept reading. This is worse. Trust me. She backed away from the window and hurried out of the room, holding the shotgun with its barrels facing the ceiling. She went downstairs, close to tears now, and she picked up the handset with her free hand and held the deadweight shotgun with the other. She pressed her left ear against the earpiece and heard a voice which said, "Hello?" She said, is that you, Antoine? Antoine is the name of the neighbor whose number was by the end table. Emma asked, almost smiling with relief. Hello, the voice replied. Open the door. Open the door, Emma. Emma was about to open the door when the voice at the other end of the line became raspy for just a second. Open the door. The caller developed a very noticeable lisp now. Emma somehow knew it was the creature out there. It had called her, and she didn't know how it could do that, but it didn't sound like Antoine anymore. Open the door, said the caller, and Emma yelped and slammed the handset down before retreating away from the phone. There was a rapping at the window downstairs, and Emma reflexively blasted 2 of the panes of that window to silica dust with the shotgun. She quickly ejected the warm shells and, with a ringing in her ears, inserted 2 new ones. She walked slowly back up the stairs, back to her room, where she kept watch from the window. The antenna had gone from behind the trunk of the oak, and Emma prayed that the creature had gone back to wherever it had come from. She waited at the window for what seemed like an hour, but only 15 minutes had elapsed when something bizarre happened. The teenager was filled something bizarre, as though this wasn't. The teenager was filled with great relief when she saw Antoine peep out from behind the tree. He waved at her to get her attention and then made a rapid beckoning gesture with his left hand. Has it gone? Emma shouted at him. Where is it? Antoine continued to gesture with his left hand. Has it gone? Emma shouted at him. Where is it? Antoine just continued to beckon Emma, and the girl thought that there was something not quite right about him. She could plainly see that it was Antoine peeping out from behind the trunk of the tree, and yet there was something that she couldn't put her finger on, which was telling her to stay put. Fortunately, Antoine and his wife, Anais, returned home much earlier than expected that day and immediately saw the gaping hole in the front door of the farmhouse. Emma ran out to them with a shotgun and urged the startled couple to come into their home at once in case the thing was still around. Antoine eventually calmed Emma down, and Anais went to fetch Figaro, the dog, from the barn. Anais could obviously see from the dog's behavior that something had frightened him, but the couple simply just didn't believe her. They could not believe Emma's strange account of the giant grasshopper with its rude vibrating appendage. About an hour after they returned, Anais made a chilling discovery behind the oak trees that made her a believer. She found what initially looked like a large burst balloon, but when she and her husband took a closer look, they could see that it was some deflated effigy, and a very lifelike one, of Antoine, but just to his waist. It had the exact skin color and parts of the deflated figure were coated in what felt like royal blue cloth, which resembled the same colored shirt Antoine was wearing. The face and hair were made of some rubbery material, and the mask of the pneumatic model of Antoine wore an eerie-looking smile. Within an hour, the material this blow-up simulacron was made out of began to disintegrate into thin air like fibers until most of it was blown away in the wind. Emma refused to stay at the house, and 2 days later, she went home to Sussex. Just what the insect-like thing, which had apparently been out to sexually assault the English exchange student, is a complete mystery. End quote.
Alien.
Wow. No.
It's like it goes from, this is pretty creepy, to, oh my God, what's happening, to, okay, now I'm terrified. Those were my emotions. That's why at the end I wrote, I have no words. I didn't, I've heard of reptilian beings are, I think, the only ones I've ever heard of, assaulting in that way, women and men. When they assault the men, they take on the form of a beautiful woman. Women who are assaulted by them aren't as lucky because they're attacked and held down by the regular looking. Sorry, it shook me up, that story. Reptilian humanoids as they look. But the thing that got me the most wasn't the gigantic penis vibrating like a rattlesnake, which I couldn't believe when I saw that, was this effigy of the neighbor that even the neighbor thought really looked like him.
Well, she said he was blowing a bubble at the door. So that's what he was doing. He was creating that effigy.
But my thing is, though, where did he get it? Had to have gotten it from her mind, because Antoine next door or wherever he lived on the property wasn't home. Huh?
It was reading her mind with the antenna.
Maybe
either that or
he had. They didn't say it. I'm going to add it to the story, but it just said she looked at her neighbor's number on the table, but the neighbor was Antoine. I actually condensed that story. There was a little bit more to it, but nothing pertinent. But my thing too is like, how long had it been lurking around? She had only been there a couple days. Maybe it had access to Antoine and was going to attack Antoine's wife. And then this thing, I mean, there's no way of knowing. All there is speculation. And then
Right.
it got its eye on her and decided to go after her.
Mm-hmm. Could be. I don't know, man. That was disturbing, though. Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
I've heard some weird stories, but that's one of them now.
That is like one of the top ones I think I've ever read. And Mysterious Universe is a very prestigious site. Like, it's what they put there can be believed. Nick Redfern is one of the writers, Bryce Swanson. So it's not like it came from like Reddit. Plus, it came from, I don't know who Rosales is, but apparently it's somebody who researches ET and UFO phenomena, because this case came from someone's files that they were taking on encounters with insectoids specifically. And this was one.
I'm gonna laugh whenever I hear a rattlesnake now.
Oh, I know. I can't. I won't be looking any rattlesnakes in the eyes from now on. I mean, it's just, and it was banging on the door. And I guess the effigy of the guy Antoine was only from the waist up, so maybe it couldn't.
Interesting.
Yeah, you like got to put a notebook in front of it, right?
Well, if he was just using it to peek around the tree, he wouldn't need the whole tree.
But maybe it couldn't, because it's, I don't know, guys. It terrified me. Like I said, I know of reptilians doing that type of stuff. I myself have had experience with them. Not that I was assaulted in that way, but like held down as they like pulled something from my mouth. Like I said, I have no words.
Man, extraterrestrials are jerks, man.
So somebody just said, oh, Blue, if I'm not mistaken, a few weeks ago, there was one of the biggest solar flares ever recorded. I'm wondering if there has been a lot of electromagnetic anomalies and Mom saw through a portal. Now, that's very possible. And I just want you guys to know, I deleted it, but Tennille and I were talking, Lotus Girl, yesterday about a gigantic, I mean, the biggest one in maybe like a century, geomagnetic storms coming in. So more flares, guys. Be mindful of your electronics. Any technology you use, could break down, so make sure you back everything up. But the main thing I just want you guys to be aware of is your energy, how these flares do affect different types of energy. You could be arguing more with people that are close to you. You could be walking around a little more confused, maybe a little more doom and gloom than normally you would be. It really depends on what your energy is from day to day, what you're vibrating at for the most part. But just keep in mind, don't get too down on yourself if in the next couple of weeks you start to not feel so great spiritually or physically. And I'll try to take my own advice, because I always forget to take my own advice. And just remember that it's something happening with the earth, the energy, the magnetic pole. It's a major, major geomagnetic storm. And I will post and do a quick short on my channel to let you guys know exactly when that's coming. You guys want to take us out, and then I'll say goodbye to everyone?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, sure. I actually got a Bigfoot investigation to do this weekend. So someone here in Sierra Vista actually claimed, right here in Sierra Vista, they claim to have seen a Bigfoot right down in the riverbed. So I'll be going there this weekend to look into that. He even drew a picture of it. So I have to kind of believe him. I mean, with the face, though, the way he drew the face, I'm leaning more towards a Gugwe than Bigfoot, but I'll find out. I'll get down there.
Well, please let us know. Let us know how that turns out. Take any footage you can. I can always put together like a reel for you. I have the software to be able to do that even from your phone. So like if you wanted to just document a little bit of it, I can put it all together for you and just give it back. We don't even have to post it. I would just give it to you, because that's pretty easy for me to do. I have the software. So yeah. All right. I just want to talk to the gemstones for a second. So Ryan, we'll see you next Tuesday, and thank you so much for coming and hanging out.
All right. Take it easy, everybody.
Bye, sweetie. So, guys, I just wanted to really quick, I know most of y'all don't want to hear this, and feel free to click off. Sorry. The things that make this channel run, so StreamYard is $40 a month. My research site is $10 a month, $9.99. The site for the thumbnails is $14.99 per month. The editing software, I pay $24.99 per month. So that is just to keep the channel going and has nothing to do with any money that I might make. YouTube takes 49% of donations. I'd like to send my son money for his birthday tomorrow. I still have to figure out the rest of my hotel room for Para Unity, which I have to book soon because it's from the 1st to the 3rd. I know the economy's tight. Nobody has bought a reading since I upped the price. Nobody's bought a Halloween box from me. Nobody has bought a signed copy of anything. Like, I have made no sales of anything in months. And I just wanted to remind you guys that this is a job for me, and I need like between $70 and $80 a month just for the channel to be able to do what I do. So not complaining. I love what I do, but without a writing contract, I am completely and totally dependent on this channel, mainly PayPal and Cash App donations, because YouTube takes 49%, only pays me once a month on the 21st. And if the 21st is on a Saturday or Sunday, I do not get paid until the following Monday. So if you can, PayPal, Cash App donations, you know, Friday night, some people do, some people don't. I get it. Nobody, you know, not everybody can do it every week. I don't expect that. Just a little help when you can until I'm back up on my feet with my contract. I do work a lot of hours for you guys and I love it. And it's not going to change regardless, but I would like to get paid for it. So, Mom, I love you. I'll talk to you later. And the rest of you, I will see you on Friday, and Ghost will see you tomorrow. And I think Miss Pixie might see you Thursday. I'm not sure if she's going to do this Thursday or next Thursday, but I will, of course, let you guys know. Bye.
Yeah, on the flip